You're about to release a new single, Me and My Imagination. What was the inspiration for it?
I mean, in this song it's sort of in the romantic sense when you're first going out with someone and you don't really feel the need to unveil all your tricks at once. It's eking it out, you know, that sort of magic bit at the beginning. But I think it can apply to other things too.
Tell us about the album, Trip the Light Fantastic. Does it differ from the other two in any way?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think it definitely picks up where the last two left off. But I don't know, there's been a few sort of shifts. I mean, I spent, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years making it. And I had a baby and got married in that time, so those 3 big changes. And I think I kind of fell back in love with disco, so I think sonically it's probably got the most in common with the first album. But there are parts of the second that I loved and I kind of incorporated as well. So
it took 2 years to write it, didn't it? Why so long?
Well, I definitely took my time because of other things that were going on. I mean, I wanted, especially with having Sonny, to really ease myself back into work, not rush myself. Took off, you know, sort of 4 or 5 months just to be with him. And then initially with the songwriting, we were sort of doing 2 or 3 days a week and just taking it easy.
Tell us about the people you worked with on it.
I worked with Anna Mania, who do Girls Aloud songs, because I think they're brilliant contemporary pop writers. I worked with Liam from the Sneaker Pimps, who's like a friend of mine I've known for years. Dan from The Feeling, who's a friend and very close to home, my husband's band and my son's godfather. Just trying things out, really. I mean, the worst that can happen is you write a song you don't like and you don't try it again. And at best you might find a new collaborator. So.
You mentioned your husband Richard, he's a musician as well. Is it quite a musical home then?
Yeah, it is. There's loads of instruments lying around, and Richard's kind of getting into my eBay addiction, and so we're getting, at the moment we've gotten lots of deliveries for harmoniums, which are these kind of keyboards, like these sort of blowpipe type keyboard things, where he just gets into certain unusual instruments, and then we have about 3 or 4 of them, and then he moves on to something else.
You're mum to Sonny now. Is motherhood everything you thought it would be?
Yes and no. It is a really big change in your life, which everybody tells you about, but it's kind of, it's not an overnight thing. It's not like they turn up and suddenly everything's different. It's probably by the end of the first sort of 8 months or something, you realise you can't remember life before they're around.
What's his personality like?
Oh my God, he's quite eccentric, bit crazy. He's very into communicating, not so sporty. So he's likely to have a couple of bumps and knocks, but he's quite chatty about it. And he's pretty happy, actually. People always said that since he was tiny. He's a very smiley, happy child. He's not really one of those morose.
You said he was musical earlier. Do you think he'll end up in the music business as well?
It won't really surprise me. I mean, I definitely wouldn't try and push him one way or the other, but I think as a childhood growing up, going to gigs and going to festivals and everything, it's quite an addictive kind of lifestyle, and I'd be surprised if he wants to leave it behind, just because it's quite a happy existence, really.
What did you make of Jordan being named Celebrity Mum of the Year?
I think Jordan's fantastic, actually. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Katie Prior. I think she's a phenomenal sort of businesswoman, and very there's a sort of charm about her, the way that she's quite direct about things.
You seem to have lost quite a lot of weight recently. Is that because you felt pressurised with the monsoon campaign?
Well, actually, I think I'd sort of started getting myself back in shape before that. And certainly it helps with confidence and all that kind of thing. But really I wanted to get back in shape just to kind of own myself again, because pregnancy and then breastfeeding, all those things, you sort of give yourself over to it quite a lot.
Do you feel a responsibility when it comes to body image in the era of size 0?
I think I feel a responsibility, but not necessarily in a sort of public sense, although that is a consequence of it, but more, I don't know, like my mum just brought me up like not to have scales in the house, to not believe in diets. We always, she would say about like, eating healthily, eating a balanced diet rather than being on a diet and off a diet. And I suppose it comes from a sort of social awareness of, like, I don't know, girlfriends who've done like crash diets, and I seem to have some friends like permanently doing diets, and they have a very complicated relationship with food, and I actually adore food. I think it's one of life's pleasures, so I don't really want to restrict things or feel guilty like, oh, that was a good meal, that was a bad meal. I'd rather just try and strike a happy equilibrium.